Oh, happy day! It's Oberon Solo's Slime Rancher. We have a beautiful little slime ranch here. Oh, there's only 3 of the phosphors? No, I gotta put a net on the top of this, or they're gonna all die. There. There. Now they won't die. What? Oh. Okay. Huh. So, we were talking BESM. And today, I'm rolling into abilities. But specifically... Well, no. Today, I'm rolling into abilities. There's... or I believe they called them attributes at one point. Also, I should mention that they have since released a BESM 3.0, which is a nice big red book, shiny and new. This was honestly probably 6 or 7 years ago that they released it, and it's made a lot of these changes in different ways. Anyway, the excellence of BESM and its list of attributes was the fact that it was like 100 pages. Not a lot. So once you've played a lot of BESM, you kind of started to just know how things worked. So as a DM, if you can get there, your next best move was to efface the abilities a bit. Especially when you start playing with players who have never played BESM before. Just make those abilities vanish. Those are the back end. Those are for you, the DM. I accomplished this by going from a point-buy character creation to a give me narrative hooks character creation system. I'd say, give me hooks. And hooks, at this point, I had stolen them from the concept from a friend who was running a modified roll master system. Well, hooks in general were anything that described what draws your character to certain activities. Like, why... and anything that could motivate your character was a good hook. Or anything that really describes your character was a solid hook. So, when I roll out the hooks, I'd say, okay, this started when we'd gone to a con, and there was like 4 of us, and 2 of us had played BESM before, the other 2 hadn't, and we had like 6 hours to kill in the room before actually going to see the con. We're like, that's enough time to run a game, a good one-shot, but only if we really shorten up character creation. So that's what I did. I said, alright, 3 hooks. A reputation, an expertise, and whatever your big bangy power is. And then I ask those 3 questions. What are you known for? What do you do? What's your biggest shining accomplishment, or whatever? However you want to phrase them. To get those 3 hooks, you just go around the table, ask 4 times. It doesn't take more than 5 minutes per player. And then I'd quickly do an interview, getting information about the powers in world. And I'd translate those hooks. And once you can translate the hooks into abilities, what you do is you look at the hook and you go, alright, if you're an engineer, it's implied that, and they'd usually be much more flowery, and you want to encourage, like, a robust description of what the character is, but say you're the best warp core technician on the Enterprise. Fine. That's a great hook. Well, that implies levels of the engineering skill, that implies a heightened mind, that implies certain abilities, and you pluck those abilities as the DM out of the rulebook and have them throw them on the sheet. But you wouldn't just be like, yeah, throw on heightened mind. You tell them to throw on, like, deconstruction of the problem for an engineer. The idea is that it's still the same thing. You've named it something different so that you can have additional in-game effects when the role play is appropriate. It just gives you that little extra flexibility rather than calling it heightened mind. You're calling it this thing of not only do they get the boost to the stat that they're looking for, which they're not even really understanding if they've never played BESM before, but you can still go, oh yeah, I've got my engineer ability. This is a mental task. It probably applies. Like, you don't need to know the system inside and out to get there. And you'd do that for any given skill. And you'd make sure during that interview process to kind of lay out and hint at other things in the world. So someone goes, well, I'm a knight of an old order. All right, what old order? Well, let's talk about that. What did your order do? Was it protecting the coast? Was it, were they bodyguards to royal VIPs? Were they adventurers sent out into the world? And then you actually kind of build some of the setting with them before running the game. And that also meant when things went bad using any of these abilities or skills, you could use that to imply things like a crit failure on anything that is setting derived implies that there's something that that character does not know about that ability in that setting. And it gives you a chance to dangle an adventure hook in front of them for any crit fail for anything that has to do with those abilities. It was a primo choice, and the other thing you could do is just kind of hot swap. You could go, well, yeah, sometimes this ability has this effect straight from the rulebook, but sometimes it's more like that effect. When I did that a lot, it was for the magic abilities. They had dynamic sorcery, which is pick an element and have magical effects in the world based on that element. You describe it to the DM tells you how much energy it costs, yada yada. That was the entirety of their concept for dynamic sorcery. But then their magic ability, which was not sorcery, was you get, for every 2 points you spend, you get 5 points for magical powers. Using these powers cost energy points equal to the number of character points they are. So, it's like, oh, build a spell list with these requisite points and it costs energy. Yeah, fine. But once you take a step back from the system like I did, you could do both. You could say, okay, you have a spell list, and you can also kind of, in general, just massage anything at a cantrip level as if with using the dynamic sorcery rules. Or you have certain spells per level, and you can lay out a small number of cantrips, and then just call them that. Say, make a spell list. Talk about, tell me how your spells work. Tell me what they do. And, oh, we need to pull that back because it needs to be a cantrip because you're this kind of caster in this role. It really gives you a lot of freedom as the DM to kind of sit down with the character and help develop not only like the character, but the setting around the character into something that gets really neat looking. And the other bonus is that if you have players that have developed kind of these robust attributes rather than the basic attributes in the BESM book, you can then, if they come out against anyone else that's a similar type of character, say they're a knight in the same organization, or something like that, you can kind of take some of their configurations and how they did things in a rules sense and just emulate it, because they're obviously setting a pattern for how these knights work because they're the first ones on screen. And that made people go, oh cool, I really want to pattern this. I want this organization to work like this. So on top of creating my character, I'm creating an organization in the world. And it makes it very interesting. It engages with a different kind of play. I mean, it also really solidly engages with somebody who just... Oh god, is that a... Oh, it's a bad dude! No! No! Save the slimes! Okay, slimes are saved. Calm down. Calm down, buddy. Eat the chickens! But, yeah, it really, It gives you multiple layers of engagement with your players and lets them kind of tell more of a story than just having them use the base rulebook. Problem is, you have to memorize the base rulebook. You have to be able to use it on the fly and with confidence. Luckily, the base rulebook is like 20 pages, or the base rulebook is like 100 pages worth of attributes. So it's not big. It's not a hard reach to get there. And I mean, that's when it starts to really shine. When you're building the game as you're building the characters. Downside is, of course, now there has been released a better system that just kind of does it rather than having the back end. The back end practice helped, but the system used to be called Fudge, now it's called Fate. Literally all I do is, with the groups that used to play with me before, is say, give me 5 hooks. Okay, there's your character. So, it takes a lot of the translating out of it. But still, if you want something more robust than what Fate could offer, well, BESM. Oh my god! Ah, no, don't kill me! Well, BESM's there. Learn to hot swap on the fly and build things. Where I hear Mortar. I don't see it though. Should be fine. But yeah, if you learn to hot swap on the fly with your abilities, and really learn to keep it within that realm of expected parameters, with people who have played the BESM before, but allow them to actually play with the flavor of the world while they're discovering their abilities, it does nicely. And it also allows you to kind of take the limit off, because not every increase is going to be a numbers increase anymore. It also allows you the opportunity to freely... Oh, oops. Kitty cats don't eat these. I'm sorry, kitty cats. I did not mean to throw carrots at your faces. Oh, they play with them, apparently. They don't eat them, though. I'm dumb. I was gonna make a chicken ranch, and I threw my rooster. Well, time to get another rooster. But yeah, it gives you that opportunity to really play in depth with the story. And that overall is a good thing. So, next time on Oberon Solo Slime Rancher, I think I'm going to go into a little more depth on the magic system that I was talking about. Because I touched it a bit. I think we can do more.
The wind howled at the washboard, sleeping underneath